And it's just about finding a balance of connection and creation through conversation.
It's Sola in the city. Come have a conversation with me. What we talking about today, it don't matter A to Z. You can keep it real with me, I ain't here to judge. We all out here trying to find a healthy balance. From day to day, sometimes it can be a challenge. But I'm here to help you and you can help me. And that's how we do it here at Sola City. It's Sola in the city. Sola in the city. It's Sola in the city. It's Sola in the city. Sola in the city. Sola in the city.
Hey, Sola, you are in Las Vegas with me. I feel like this is cute. This is cute, but I don't have like. Oh, there's an number. There we go. Now we're going. So, hey, best friend. Hey, best friend. So today we're gonna talk a lot about the shit we normally talk. All right. So as in Soul in the City, we're exploring life as ourselves, beautiful, independent and interdependent, and all of that, in whatever city we may be. So I want to start out with tell it like I think this is gonna be fun for me too. But for both of us. But tell me a little bit about our relationship, like your perspective of how we became friends and like what our relationship
how far
is.
back or how much time do we have?
Right? The quick version.
The quick version. We met in high school. Senior year, right? Junior year?
Junior year. I think it was junior year.
I think it was junior year.
No, maybe it was senior year.
It was right before you turned your 18th birthday.
Yeah, so it was senior year.
Yeah, so it was your 18th birthday, and that was the first time like we really actually hung out.
Yeah,
I don't even know why you invited me for real.
Because I think, I don't know where I was in life.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember we had the swoop.
Oh yeah,
that was so
I had like I had a little short swoop thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So we met in high school, and we were being a little petty.
Yeah, we were. That's when I think that's the days when my petty used to
was
really.
At an all-time.
Yeah, I think my petty has calm. My petty has calm.
It's definitely calm.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a friend that I didn't care for.
Well, y'all were friends, and then we were friends.
Y'all tried to be friends, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
No. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, it was a mess. And then I think we both. That's when we found out we both have in common. Like we don't like being told what we are, what we're gonna do,
right.
who we are,
who we can hang out with.
Yeah, we don't like to be limited in that way. Because this person definitely thought that she could tell us like, oh well, y'all friends. Oh well, we're gonna be fake friends. We're not even real friends, but we're gonna be fake friends. And
then eventually we just became friends. And I think our friendship really built on really like intimate conversations. Like I think from the beginning we just had like really good conversations with people. Walks to go get
famous days. Y'all, we done cheated famous days.
Strawberry shortcake.
We cheated famous days out of so many little desserts.
So yeah, that's kind of all we just do in the background.
Yeah, I think one of the things that is always interesting is people are always like, "Oh, you're so tall," and da. But I'm like, my friends are tall, and so I think that was
definitely also our own phase.
Exactly, we
both
were
wear
tall.
size 11 shoes.
Exactly.
If y'all don't know, shoes stop at a size 10 for most women.
Like the cute stuff.
So trying to find an 11 is a stretch. So we bonded on that. Like,
exactly.
We switched shoes today.
We did. It's just another photo. It's switch your shoes, okay? These ones ain't working for me. Let's work them for you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's something that I definitely think in terms of friendships and kind of being at the point. It's a lot of what we're going to talk about today, just the whole idea of like, I'm good. Like the year of I'm good.
For sure.
And I think we've traveled through years that we weren't good. And we've gone through that. And I think some of it we went through silently, some of it we went through like intuitively, where it's just kind of like, I feel like there were times we probably knew we were going through other things, and it's like created a space for a person to bring that up. But I think one thing that I'm really proud of in terms of our friendship is how we evolved to really be vocal about certain things with one another. I think that's something that I don't have in all of my relationships. And I think it's important and I value it a lot in ours. Is to really be like, okay, not worry so much about if she's gonna take this right or wrong, because we built the trust in those ways to know, like, if Keith's gonna say something to me about it that doesn't sit well with me at first, that means I need to go sit with it and come back to the conversation.
And vice versa. I definitely have had to sit with a lot of things that we talked about, but then after, it's always so much growth and something positive always comes from it.
I agree.
So I really appreciate the fact that we are able to push each other, and we're not that friend that's just like constantly like allowing you to make the same mistake over.
Exactly. Exactly. I think there was even recently, you know, a decision that I had made, I thought I had made, and was like, I'm not doing it. And you were like, I could hear in your voice, like, okay,
all right,
well, I'll support you. And it was just like, you know, when you develop a friendship with people, like, you don't have to say certain things where you can tell, like, okay, there's something I need to pivot.
Very vulnerable in that moment. Like, I think that wasn't the moment for me to like go in.
Exactly, but it was like I felt what I needed to feel, and I went and thought about myself and thought about the decisions I was making.
And you changed your mind.
And I changed my mind, and I really had to think about like my ego. I think you've helped me a lot with balancing my ego, because it's something that's like, you know, it's very much a part of me. I don't disown it. I like to listen to it. Sometimes I need help. Yeah, sometimes I need help breaking it down and being like, okay, is this really a decision I'm making for myself, or is this a decision I'm making for myself to feel good in this moment? And I think we've both been in those spaces of like having to be like, all right, girl, if that's what you want, but like, have you thought about this? Okay, or just be like, okay. And knowing what that okay
really means.
Like, okay, but go think about that.
I'll come back to you.
You will come back because you're having a moment.
Come back
have your moment, but
yeah.
So I think, you know, in being good, it really makes. It doesn't always mean the people around you are good. I think that's the hard thing. Is like a part of it is you want people to be in a certain space of desiring elevation, but there will be times when the people around you aren't good, right? And I feel like we've both gone with that through each other to be like, okay, she's not good, but like, what is the conversation in not being good? Is it I'm not good and I'm stuck in that, or is it like this is just a really tough chapter
here
and I'm doing these things to work through it? Exactly.
Exactly.
Thank you. So I think all in all, it really takes time to have. I think to be good truly and get to that space, it does incorporate your relationships that you have.
Yeah. For sure.
And I think it's navigating your space in that relationship, the other person's space in their relationship with themselves and with you.
Because you have to know when to step back.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, is when it's someone who is not good and continuing to be not good. Yeah. And you're trying to do better. At some point, we're not fixing it, we're not working through it, we're just going to keep sitting in this. You have to be able to step away.
Exactly. And we talked about it the other day. Like, we talk a lot about, our Sola in the city from the standpoint of relationship. We talk about a lot of different relationships that we have.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically, like, in romantic relationships, and really thinking about, okay, what does that mean in terms of communication? With something we were talking about last night of, like, all right, the number one thing everybody says in a relationship you need is communication.
Right, but what does that even mean? What does that mean? That is like the biggest cliche, like, yeah, in order for it to work, y'all need to communicate. So I think we figured it out.
Yeah.
We're figuring it out,
right? It's a process. I think that so much of it is like, okay, what type of communication? So I always talk about me needing evolving communication, meaning there's an evolution of self, an evolution of other, and an evolution of the united figure or point, which is that relationship. And so I think we have evolved in communication, and that the way that we communicate now at 28 was not the way that we communicated at 18.
Absolutely not.
Like, there was so much more that was off limits from a space of like, I don't want to hurt you, or I don't want to offend you, or I don't want to rub you the wrong way.
Yep.
Rather than like now, it's like it's evolving because we know it's for us to progress, right?
But also being vulnerable with ourselves. So I think it's a vulnerability with, not wanting to hurt the other person, but it's also with being able to say what's for you, like what makes you happy, what that thing is, and expressing that. I think it took me a while to get to that space to say, like, nah, I actually don't like that, or yes, let's do this, or
or that's not for me. And I think really creating the space for a person to show up as themselves is important. I think that is like a piece of communication, right? Is to create space. I think that's the part we don't specify. It's so much about communicating. It's like, I have to create space for us to communicate, whether that's the frequency, whether that's the type of conversation, because some conversations, some communications are more taxing than others. So I need to create space in my life for that. Or I need to say, you know what, the communication that we have is not is not worth that taxation
at this time. I think that's one thing we've definitely worked on this year in particular. Is like we definitely like to vent. We're both venters, so then we can get it out, be done with it, and work through it, go from there. But one thing I think we've both done a really good job is not throwing that on the other person.
Exactly.
Like,
just being like, hey,
first.
Yeah,
like
hey,
I never mind listening. Like that's never an
and I
issue.
don't
Like,
either.
we'll always work through it.
But I think it's something that I've seen us both do. Is be like, hey, can I just
like,
have a moment?
Have
Is now a
5
good
minutes,
time?
like,
Can I just get it out real quick?
Because today,
They tried it. They tried it today.
Right.
Which I think is important.
I'm also having they tried it. Then we can maybe go back and forth together. Or, maybe now is not the right time for us to be having this because we're not going to figure out anything.
And I think that's something that we've come into, if we're communicating, it's going to be about something. And I think that's something we've both chosen, and I don't think that's for everybody in all of their relationships, but I know it's something that's really important for both of us of like, I don't want lazy energy. I don't want idle energy. Like, I want to become better. I want the people around me to become better. I want the things that I participate in to become better, which requires me to be intentional, requires me to be thoughtful, and requires me to be efficient. Like, if it's not efficient in terms of, not that it has to be quick, but it has to be for a purpose and getting to that purpose. Yeah. Like, we're not going to be doing all of this.
That is true. Like, we don't sit here and gossip a whole lot. Like, we share our own personal things.
Exactly.
But, like, we don't sit around and have this whole situation over here.
And usually I feel like if somebody else comes in,
there's no resolve.
And you know what I've noticed about us lately, too, is like, if we are gossiping, quote unquote, it's usually like something happened and I want to know how you think about it.
Right.
Like, I want to know, like, damn, like, how would you...
Am I tripping? Like, did I think that this is messed up?
Exactly. Or like, I think that's it. Or just be like, well, damn, I never even thought about how would you work through that. I wasn't a fan. Because that's a part of communication too. Is like being proactive, like proactively thinking about situations before you get them. Yeah, I remember one time, like a few months ago, we had a conversation about parenting, and I think we discovered so much about each other in that conversation.
We were low-key beefing in that conversation. Like,
it was like, no,
I know the conversation was like, whatever, do what you want with your kids. These hypothetical future kids, I was like, do what you want, because I don't agree with that. She was like, well, I don't agree with that. And at the end of it, we came back like weeks later.
I think you just sent me something like last week about something that we talked about. And it was like, I could see where you're coming from, and even just understanding of like, wow, because you feel this way, this shapes a lot of how you look at the world. Not from a right or wrong perspective of like, okay, this is helping the rest. These other pieces make sense.
Who I am and who you are.
And I think that's what's big for me right now in my chapter. There's different types of communication. You have your discussion where you're trying to like come to some sort of agreement. You have your debate where you're trying to prove a point. You have dialogue, and that's where you're trying to understand. And dialogue is very important to me. That's why I have Sola in the City. That's why I have the things that I've worked on, the projects that I've worked on, because understanding. Switching my paradigm to dialogue and thinking about understanding somebody as the end all of the conversation has impacted my life so positively, because we don't listen to understand. We're not taught to listen to understand. We're listening to fix it. We're listening to say that I'm right or prove that you're wrong. But we're not fixing to understand, like, where did that come from? How did we get here? How did we get here? And not from a sinister way, but like, I really want to know how you got here, because it'll help me understand about more about how you're moving through life. Or maybe it'll help me understand about when you get your triggers, or when you're offended by something, when you're not, like, oh.
I think some kind of stuff with you though too, when you share it with me, it also sparks something in myself. Like, oh, okay, that's how maybe, if a certain situation happens to me, I can approach it in a much more mature way because of how you handle it. Because sometimes I'm really impressed with how you handle controversy or how you get over things, and I'm sometimes like still trying to be a little petty.
Right.
Like, I don't know if I would have been that mature. So I appreciate you also sharing from that standpoint, because it helps me well.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of, one thing that, even most recently, in all honesty, that I have trouble with, and I think I called you the other day and was like, man, my feelings are hurt.
Yeah.
Because I think that I genuinely try to understand other people and where they're coming from. And like sometimes that just as what it is. Like, I just want to understand you more. And I don't feel like when that doesn't come to me and I make a move and somebody doesn't understand and they assume negative intention, it really hurts my feelings. And I've had to really own that, because I don't like to be one to be like, oh, my feelings are hurt, or I don't like to give power to somebody to say you hurt my feelings, but I've learned that I have to be vulnerable with what that is.
You have to be vulnerable, and you have to be able to admit that your feelings are hurt, because what happens is hurt people, right? Like we all know this.
Exactly.
So
hurt people don't sit alone.
Yeah, then you're like, okay, cool, let me do this over here so I can go hurt somebody else's feelings, instead of just admitting your feelings are hurt.
Exactly.
Work through that on your own. Figure that out here, so that you're not spewing this.
That's real.
Everywhere else. But I was really proud of you for admitting that, because I think it's been a while for.
Yeah, I haven't said that in a while. Yeah,
to
get to a place to be like.
Yeah, that wasn't cool.
That was, my feelings was hurt. Like I don't get how we did these things and did all this, and then like this is how you left with your interpretation of me. We're really also releasing that part of like I can't control your interpretation.
You can't control it, and you don't need to rebuttal.
Exactly. I don't have to go back and forth. I can just say my feelings are hurt, and I'm moving forward with what I need to move forward with.
Absolutely, I wish you the best.
So let's talk about like more about being good, or maybe being not good. Like let's
spin like a boat.
Let's talk about, because I like when I look at you, especially in this last year, it's like I really was thinking about, okay, I'm gonna sit down, have this conversation with my best friend, and then think about like, okay, what are we gonna talk about? And I think we had something planned, and then I was like, you know what? Like Spirit just told me like, she's going through the year of I'm good. Not like in a necessary, like, everything is fantastic, everything's working out exactly, like, I'm good. Like, I really watched you be like, I'm good on this. Yeah. I am good with that.
In every aspect of how you can say I'm good.
in every aspect of how you can hear that tone, right, of you saying that phrase. Yeah. So, what is it, when you hear I'm good, what does that mean for you?
I'm happy. I'm in a place of peace. And so I think for me, this last year has really just been owning what I want out of life, going for it, and saying that what's for me is for me. So even if things happen and I don't get something I went for, I'm still good. I'm still good. I still had the opportunity to try. I still had the opportunity to give myself a shot. And even though this door might not be open, we'll go over here.
Exactly. Nothing for you gonna miss you.
It's not gonna miss me. And so I think that's how. Once I processed it, like, nothing is gonna miss me, then everything else was just better. And it was just such a more peaceful experience and journey, so that when I do step into certain situations, I don't have this like anxiety or this fear coming through. Like, it's just like courageous, strong, we'll rock this.
Exactly.
It's for me. It's my time to shine, because I'm good. Like, I feel good.
Yeah, and I think that comes from a lot of spaces where people are like, well, how do you get to being good? How do you
go through a lot of bad relationships, bad decisions, choices that I made. I've definitely made decisions out of quick, instant gratification that then backfire later, and I have a bigger effect. So I've really done a better job at just like looking at the bigger picture of things and the choices that I'm making, and trying to make the best decision for me.
Absolutely.
And truly for me. I think that's part of the being
That's right.
good.
Like, I'm good. It was like, I am good.
I am good. Yeah, it's for me. So, I don't know, but I did go through a really challenging time. 2017, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't want to adult, so I didn't want to work. I hated the work I was doing. I was in a really bad relationship that was adding to it. I was hanging around friends that did not have my best interest at heart. I was just doing a lot of things that were for everyone else and were making me so miserable. I was going to work because that's what I'm supposed to do, but I hate this job. I'm staying with this person because, we've been trying, we made it this far. Like, we can work through this, like, let me figure it out. But that person didn't have my best interest at heart. Going to friends that were happy to see me settle in this situation of this bad job or this bad relationship, and we're so caught up lifting. But then once I made it through to the other side, which I'll get back to that, they were nowhere to be found. So I think it was a lot of bad that took place in 2017 and 18 that led me to this place of like, nothing can bring me back there. Because I won't allow it.
Because it's your
mindset.
It's your mind. You're powerful.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think watching you step into that power has been amazing. Like, watching you do it, because I think nothing, like, when you talk about your best friend, like, you want nothing more than everything for her that she wants. Like you want, like but there's more. Like I want more than everything. Like I think there's not really a way to describe of like your best friend. Like I don't care if it's not what I want or what I would like, but like I want you to be living in the ultimate happiness and feel like you can do anything because you are doing everything you wanted to do. And so I think to see you take such big steps after watching you settle and watching you be in spaces and trying to, because I let people know, like I'm a judger. Like I think that's weird that people don't, because I feel like
I'm judging you.
Yeah,
oh my gosh, I just finished that book by Lovey, by the way. Like, highly recommend. I am judging everyone at this point.
I just feel like I feel like we could have so much more of a healthy relationship with judgment, but that's another episode. So I mean, in honesty, there were judgments passed, but I don't feel like it was in a way like the judgment is, this is not what she wants. I don't want this for her.
Yeah, like what the heck?
I don't want this for her because I know this isn't what she wants for herself. And it's hard because as a best friend, like you have to kind of grow into that role of like being able to not be like, bitch, you need to get your life together, but also be like, no, I don't like your man, but I'm not saying it in a way that's like, but in a sensing in a way like I don't like that you are not happy with him.
Yeah.
So I need you to know that I'm not going to be disrespectful. You know, if I can.
But you can come through like communication.
You know what I mean?
Being able to say that.
Like and being able to just
telling me why, because I don't think you ever did tell me exactly why. Like, you didn't give me like a
list of
like pros and cons with no pros.
Yeah.
It came. I don't know. I think it came about, but I think it was mostly we were forming better communication, open communication.
Because I think that's hard.
I was also able to share, I think, more of what was going on. Because I think a lot of times you get in these bad relationships and it's so embarrassing that you don't want to share what's going on with anyone.
Yeah.
Because it's like, why are you still there?
Yeah. And I remember,
you can't explain it.
Yeah. And I remember coming to see you, because like part of me coming to see you was like this big investigation for me of like what the hell is really going on, right? So it's like part of me is like, okay.
You did kind of just pop up on me.
Because I was like, no, I'm gonna have to figure something out because I gotta figure out what's going on. And so when I did, I remember like getting there and being like, she's not good. Like she's got to get out of this. But I didn't like, because okay, there are boundaries, right? So there are boundaries. So I also know like you are there for a reason. As much as I feel like you deserve more, you're there until you feel that it's time for you to go. So I need to be honest in supporting you and making that decision when it's time for you. But I also need to let you know like you're not happy. You don't have to be in that.
No. Yeah, I definitely appreciated that trip. It was much needed. I mean, it took a little time.
Yeah, and I don't think, again, because it wasn't something that I was like, okay, so are you going to break up with him now?
No.
Are you going to break up with him now?
No, you
but
didn't. I'm so grateful that you didn't do that.
Because then I feel like then you can't go to that person. And I want you to know, like, this is not a judgment-free zone. We're going to talk about judgments. We're going to clarify. Because with judgment, because I have dialogue, I think that's what makes it different, right? Is if I was just judging and then trying to debate you.
Right.
Or judging you and trying to have a discussion for us to meet an agreement. But if I'm judging you and then trying to understand you, so I have to first get the picture of like, this is what I'm seeing. This doesn't add up to this. She says she wants this. This isn't adding up. Like, what's going on? But then it's like, okay, now that I have my judgment, tell me what's going on.
It was really...
Tell me like...
Right. I think you also started framing things around me. I think you were the one that showed me, like, forget making decisions based on this other person, right?
Yeah.
Because when you get in a relationship, a lot of times you are making decisions about your guys' future. I think you really showed me, like, what do you want? What do you know? What do you want? Because you kept asking me. I think it was more you kept just asking me, and we were talking like, this is what I want. This is how I want to do this. This is where I want to go. And a lot of that stuff is here. Yeah. Now.
Yeah. But you can't like if you don't, because I think that's the thing, right? Is like you have to be you as yourself. The other person has to be themselves showing it, and then you have a relationship. It is not 1 plus. You know what I mean? 1 plus 1 equals 1. Like no, 2. It's 1 plus 1 equals 3 because there are separate.
Two separate people make a third. Like
yeah, absolutely. Yes. And I think that's something that watching you has made me become more comfortable in saying like, maybe there is this thing that I need to go through that, you know, I'm just trying to figure out. And it's okay. It's okay because once I make that decision for myself, when it's time for me to make that decision for myself, the pieces will come together.
Right, because they always do.
But I have to do it for myself. Like, I didn't want you to be like, well, my friends say you're a bad person, so, because I didn't give a damn what he thought about me.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
point,
okay, because that's not what's important. What's important to me is that my friend is good. And I think being good, like I think trying to make sure you're in a space that was good was so important. But it was like I can't put you in that space. And we all sometimes have to. I'm in a space, where I think general I'm good because I've gone through some all types of shit these last 6 months. And but still being like, okay, you know what? Okay, yes, there are better places I want to be, but in terms of me being at peace with the decisions I'm making, understanding that investments, like these are different things like I have to think about. And I think that's another part, right? It's like the investment that we put in ourselves and being good.
In ourselves. I think that's the biggest thing because I think part of that situation, like, because I keep talking about it, I guess, but was I felt like I had invested in that, right? But I wasn't putting
your ROI,
anything
right?
into myself, right? So I was getting really frustrated because I was not going to have anything to pull out of it.
Exactly.
But I kept putting more in, and there was nothing to take with me once I left, like at all.
And that's the blessing at the same time.
Right.
It's like you got to leave with nothing.
Investing in myself has definitely already given me returns.
Yeah.
Already paying itself, and I think that's all you can do.
Yeah.
That's all you should be really focusing on. Because the more I invest in me, the more I'm able to give to other people.
Exactly. And the more you're attracting those people that are wanting to invest in them, that already invest in themselves, so have space to invest in you. Right? Because a lot of times those conflicts, especially with relationships, whether romantic, familiar, friendships, is like when there's a conflict about that return on investment, or somebody feels like they're slighted, it's because most times it's because they're not investing in themselves.
They're not investing in themselves.
And so they have these expectations of you're supposed to be the ROI in certain ways.
When you know what it takes to get to a certain level within yourself, to have a certain comfort and a certain I'm good, you understand what it took that other person to get there.
Exactly.
So sometimes, a lot of people can look and be like, oh, she got this, she's doing this for herself, boom, boom, boom. I want that, I want to be with her, she could help elevate me. But that person isn't looking at what it took to get there.
Exactly.
If you have another mind that knows that didn't just happen.
Right.
That didn't just come out of
Talk to their best
I had to
friend.
do this,
Talk to their best
this
friend
to
and
get
see
here
like
myself. They understand the value
Exactly.
and the worth of what I'm bringing to the table. So now you cut a lot of the drama out, cut a lot of the BS out because you already see what it is. You already know the value, you already know the work, you already see the investment, and now we can both just keep feeling this other thing.
Exactly.
He's working over here.
Now we're putting in the pot. What would you say was probably the most surprising feeling you've had since you've been in like this I'm good aura? Like what's like the most surprising like oh damn, I just maybe didn't think about that, or didn't think I'd feel like that, or maybe a situation that popped up and you were like,
you have something in particular you want me to
No,
talk
I don't
about?
know. I listen. That's not. Don't. I swear it wasn't. I swear that was not
No,
applauding.
I don't know. I don't have answers. So I was wondering. I think the biggest surprise has just been my life and where my career is going. So as you know,
Right.
I'm modeling currently, and I am.
Something she's been talking about since we met.
It's always been something that I felt in my heart I wanted to do. I always felt like it was for me. I just never could get through the door.
Right.
It was not working. It wasn't working. So for me to now have this and technically wasn't looking for it.
Right.
Like I had put it out there. I had been putting it out there.
Talk about the power of manifestation.
Been saying that I wanted it. I wanted to start modeling. I think we had just talked about it. It was like, I'm gonna start looking for an agency in Charlotte. Like, this is what I want to do. Like, really need to be serious about it. And I mean, we went on an amazing girls trip, and it was crazy. Yeah, I think this is definitely the biggest thing that was like, for me. After that amazing went to Afropunk, Brooklyn, amazing house full of beautiful women that had some just dope conversations, and literally I'm sitting at the gate to board my plane home, and I'm scrolling through Instagram, and I get a message from my now agent saying, she was interested, asking about, my height, my weight, my size, basically, because she's looking for curve models, and I tell her, I'm 5'11", 14, 16-ish, perfect, boom, 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 and And she's just like, you know, I want to meet you. I would love to see you. And 2 weeks later, because I had just been on vacation and I was at my job, so I couldn't because they're like an hour away. So I waited 2 weeks until I could take another day off of work. Drove up there and signed on the spot. And then 2 weeks later, I was actually working my first job for a client that now has
Talk
booked me
about
consistently.
it. Talk about
so
it.
I think that has been like something that's just like, I'm so good. Like, I'm just so happy. Like, forget, you know, anything for anybody else. Like, what they can see on the outside looking in, like, oh, you know, whatever, she's smiling, she's doing whatever. For me, it's just like such a piece that I was able to accomplish a dream.
Right.
And I know that everyone does not have the opportunity to say that. So now I get to just expand on it from here.
Exactly. Wow, talking about the space of expansion, right? So being good to transitioning to great. Like, that's the space you're in. I think, you know, being also good with good is important. I think sometimes we don't appreciate good
what we have,
like
so
what
we're
we
always
have.
beating ourselves
Because good is
up.
gratitude, right?
It is.
Like the gratitude of being able to say, I tried. You know, I'm not a big fan of the T word, but sometimes I have to give more honor to it to just say, like, I tried.
Because everything does not succeed, and everything does not succeed the first time.
Or even just succeed in the way that you call success.
Exactly.
Because I feel like I've left a chapter recently that I don't think that ideally, you know, a couple of years ago I would have thought that that was success. But when I really think about what I was able to do, the people I was able to connect with, the relationships I was able to build, the things I was able to do, like, that was successful.
Very much.
And I think that's the part of really just having to sit and be like, I'm good. I'm good with it.
I think I had to remind you.
Yeah, you did. She did.
Yeah, I just wanted
even
to
just
say that real
she
quick.
did. Even she's always good with making me be like, okay, bitch, you need to celebrate. Like,
Yeah, celebrate this
celebrate
moment.
that.
We can celebrate the end of a chapter as well as the beginning, because that was such a good moment in time in your life.
Exactly.
That's going to propel the next thing.
Exactly. That's beautiful, right? I love it. I love it. I love it. So let's talk about being good with relationships. You know.
Okay.
A part of Sola, how Sola in the City started was talking about, you know, my journeys in being single and, you know, mingling or not. And I just want to know, like, what are some of those things for you that, like, helps you be good in your love life? Like, helps you find that space of peace in your romantic life? Because I know we talked in terms of, like, the type of men we've dated is just changed. Like, the things we look for, the types of relationships that we have changed for both of us. I know that is
Completely changed. I think in order for me to know what the new thing was that I wanted, I had to essentially create a vision. You know, so I didn't make an actual vision board, but I did make a list.
Okay.
I wrote it out. I said what I needed, you know, what I was looking for, what things I wanted, what I didn't want, and I stuck to it.
That's the part that makes me feel like.
Hold on, let me go back. I did not always stick to it. So I dated, and he had something that was missing from the list, a little here and there. I was like, okay, I could probably work with that. And then like, no, like it would just be like.
Even how the universe, I feel like something that was funny to watch is like how the universe will snatch people out. Like,
oh yeah.
Or just like,
quickness.
or just have you in a space to be like, nah, I don't even like.
Easily.
No. That's not
I'm
it.
good.
No.
That wasn't it. And I straight from my list. And so no, we're going back to the list. So I just kept circling back to what was important for me. Not only, having someone who speaks life and praise into me, but also has something to speak in positive praise of themselves.
Exactly.
Was important. I think someone who was, because what we were talking about, I told you there was like 5 things that like for sure.
Oh
for
yeah.
Sure, like,
it was like couldn't be jealous. Couldn't be jealous.
Yeah. So like for instance, I didn't want anyone who's showing any signs of like jealousy, because I'm traveling, I'm working, I'm all over the place.
Yeah,
right?
and that's to open the conversation of sometimes like your spouse being jealous of you, your significant other being jealous of you.
Yeah.
And I've been in that situation. I've been in that situation.
Jealous
before.
of the positive things happening in your life, and maybe even trying to interject and throwing negative
and
onto
even
you
when
to make you feel like I can't.
And
do
you don't
this.
even, and I think what it is for me, how I felt is like there was a sense of wanting pity, like creating pity for the person.
Yes.
And it was like, I would be like, oh.
Bad, dimming your light.
Yeah, oh, no, I don't want you to pay for everything because I make more than you. Like, I don't want you to.
Nah.
No, fuck that.
I'm good.
No, I'm good.
I'm good. I'm not doing any of that this year.
Yeah. Or beyond.
Or beyond.
Or beyond.
Forever. Again. So that was one thing is I dealt with a lot of jealousy of me.
Yeah.
You know, not of other men because I never pulled that into the relationship. Like I'm always very good about that. But I definitely felt like it was someone who didn't want me to shine, and it's crazy because I didn't until they were removed. Another one is them obviously being insecure, you know, about themselves and what they have going on. But more, I think the other thing too is I didn't want anyone who was complacent in their career. So to me, like, it doesn't matter necessarily how much you're making, because like, again, I'm my own whole person. Like, there is a part of me that is very independent in that way. Like, I've always made my own.
That's that independent Minnesota girl.
Yeah, I've always made my own money. We both workers.
Shout out. No.
But what I don't want is no matter how much you're making, if you're just doing it to pay the bills, but
or
you're
to
not
be in that
happy,
seat.
to be in that seat, but you're not happy and you're not actually trying to go anywhere further. You're literally complacent in what you're doing.
That's real.
It pays the bills. It does this. It does. You know.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yep, that's real. And even
people.
I think just from my own experience of saying like I'm an individual contributor, so this is something I've had to really like own for myself. So there are people think people try to plug me into being a people leader all the time, and it's just not what I want to do.
Right.
I'm an individual contributor. There are ways to advance in that. So it's not even like, you know, I'm asking of a significant other to say like, you need to have this particular title. But I do, if you are sitting in the chair that you are sitting in, you look around, even if it's not, you know, in the direct trajectory of what you're doing right now, like if there's nowhere else you want to go at this point at 28 or whatever, I wouldn't be comfortable with that.
No, we have so much, like when I actually pull it into perspective, like how much life I hope to have to live.
Exactly.
You know, like
exactly. God willing,
old age, like there's a lot.
What skills? Even okay, maybe you have this input. What skills are you gonna get? What extracurricular are you gonna?
Right.
Teaching
is
a
there
skill.
something that you can do even outside of this job like that would make you happy? I think. So someone, I was like, okay, no more anyone who's complacent. Like that's not gonna work for me because I'm not. And someone who also is willing to sit in that is willing to let you sit in that.
Exactly. Because I need a cheerleader. Like I'm a very big I'm a cheerleader.
Okay.
Like I need to be a cheerleader. Like can't nobody say nothing about me in front of you. Like can't nobody say nothing because I'm that person. Like I'm that person. Oh what?
Yes.
Oh no.
We're not gonna have that conversation. That's not gonna work.
Exactly.
What was the other thing I said? I definitely did not want a man who, as we said, insecure, jealous, complacent.
What was the other one?
Yeah, there's two more that were pretty major.
I feel like I might have it in my
I
phone.
think I have it somewhere too. I can't even think of what
Let me
they
look.
were.
There's a real.
Yeah, because we definitely talked about this. I can't remember what they were.
Let's see. Lord, sometimes I be trying to find stuff and sometimes it's poor communication and inconsistency.
So the inconsistency, because that's the part.
I think that's the most forgiving piece. That's the first piece we're willing to be like, oh,
he's busy.
I can work with that.
He's busy. I can
figure it out.
Cool. And that's the one I cannot, like, that was one of the first things I remember I said I needed when asked of me from a man. What am I looking for? Consistency. Need it, gotta have it, not negotiable. And I received. I have received.
You're not.
Consistency.
I haven't met him yet, but I'm very excited to look. Hello, sir.
Yeah, he's very consistent, and so I don't know. It's just, I think those check-ins are meaningful. I remember I used to be a person. I probably have it somewhere. My Facebook will remind me at some point. One of my statuses that was like, I don't like the morning text. I don't need the morning text.
Let me tell you the process of when she realized that she does. She realized that the consistency within them. I remember that. Like, well, I feel like that week before we were I don't need all that. I don't want nobody bothering me every day.
Like
I need some sex.
Yeah. But I think it's the follow up behind it, right?
Right. It's not just
because it's more than just
good morning. Exactly.
You know, that's a good start
to the
day.
Did you eat? What did you have? Let me send
Did
you
I
some
eat
lunch.
today? Let me send you some lunch. Are you good? Who done pissed you off at work today?
Exactly. Let me make
Are you
sure.
having a good day? Are you in a good mental space today to perform accordingly? What can I do? What GIF do I need to send? What meme do I need to implement to cheer you up?
Because I think that's so warming, right? It's like to have a man who is in your life who cares not only what is going on and he cares to do the temperature check, but also cares to do the temperature adjustment in the space that within a responsibility to him. And I think that's something that we're not always about. I want a man who wants to be responsible to me, not primarily my caretaker. That's a different, having a responsibility, having trust between, having a care that goes beyond words, that is into actions of making sure like I'm good, you're good, but let me make sure if you're having not a good day, that I can do what I can to serve that. Your responsibility is to make sure you're good and at peace.
Right.
But if for some reason something disrupts your peace on a very temporary space, and I can do something to shift that, let me allow me to do so.
And I think then that comes to the communication is me being able to say like, I'm not good. Like I'm tired. I didn't get enough sleep. I don't know what's going on today, or someone did just ruffle my feathers a little bit. Let me recoup. So that communication piece.
So that you're not catching the attitude, and you're like, whoa, what's going on?
Right. And I also have had to have days and times too where I've said, when he is checking in, and I'm just like, you know what? Not right now.
Right.
Like I can't even. Like I'm so much in a space right now that I'm gonna come back to you.
Yeah, and I need
to
be
honest.
honest.
You good? Like I'll check. You good right now? Okay, cool. I'm gonna come back to you. So I think that's part of the communication. I found someone that I'm able to have an open dialogue with that I really appreciate.
So I understand, because that makes, and that's I'm currently in a space where I'm writing a series of Dear Mr. Lover. Like that's my
love this series. I have them all screenshotted. I have them saved in a folder. Like,
just so
I'm gonna play these back on that annoying slideshow.
And what it is really, so there was this quote. I was doing some research to do something else, and I found this quote of talking about, speaking about your future partner as if they already exist, like talking to them, saying those things aloud, expressing them through writing, about like what it is, everything about them, being very specific. And so I found myself I was like, should I do a list? And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna write a series of love letters to this guy who is not yet of my knowing and in my existing in my space. And so it's been a really cool process to really think about a man is already him being here and already being appreciative of him, which I think changes the mind frame a lot of it. Like I'm already appreciating these things about you. I'm already saying these things that you are doing that makes me feel very warm and makes me feel fulfilled beyond what I feel myself in. And I think that it's just a really cool thing, but I'm excited to see okay, so let me go ahead and manifest real quick.
Because I've been over here.
I'll watch you manifest.
Girl, I'm trying. I had to be open to it though.
Yeah.
I think that was
it first takes you to be in a space with you, right? Because I also know I'm not in a space to be in a relationship where I am right now today. God also knows how to get my attention, but I think that is something that God and I are very clear on. This space right now is not for me to build something with somebody right now. This is all about Sola in the city and figuring that shit out and exploring and having fun with myself. I think that's something we don't think about often enough. Having fun with yourself. Me, not just okay, I have this responsibility to do this. I can treat myself, but that's what I feel like. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites. I mean, I love to just give, even if it's just a bubble bath. To me, I'll set that so right though. It'd be the best bubble bath. Let me tell y'all, because I think it's so important just for those self-care.
Exactly.
But also, I think what I learned too is showing it's easier to show someone else how to treat you
once you know
for sure what it is that you
exactly. Even they talk about that like with sex, like you have to know your body first.
Yeah.
To show somebody to know,
right?
Like you have to do that, and I think that's the space where I'm at is like. Sometimes I yearn for, some male company, but it's like, I've really just been good. Like, I literally have 0 people I talk to on my phone right now. Like, I don't cake talk, pillow talk, anything. And it's just like, just the drive. Like, I don't gotta have my phone on silent because ain't nobody gonna text me. She right here. Like, and I'm just in a space where it's like, I'm okay with it. And I'm looking forward eventually to not being in that space or to being in another space. But I think what's so important is for me to be good in this space, for me to be good and being able to say, because I think also like stopping like talking to guys or whatever that's I want to call that. I really had to realize like it was distracting me from letting a lot of other things go, right? So I found myself using them as a piece of temporary comfort, but really I just needed to dismiss these other 3 things. And yes, some of them like I enjoyed them as people, but I've also had to realize like I also needed to clean up a lot of things in my life.
I did a clean up at the beginning of 2019, beginning of this year. I did a because I was single. I was living my best life. I was doing whatever I wanted to do. I was out here in these streets. Right. Not that much. A little bit. I dabbled. But yeah, I definitely did a sweep, and it's funny because it took 6 months for any of them to resurface. And I think that to me was like a big tell. Like, you really just let me didn't check in, don't know what's going on other than what I choose to post on social media.
And even it's interesting to watch how they react to certain things, right? Like what they say and how they say it. Yeah, because they'll definitely do the little reply to little hard eye emojis. Hard eyes or the looking eye emojis. Yeah. Oh my god, I can't take those anymore. Like, please stop sending them. Please don't. I don't want them. I'm good. You need to send a little yoga emoji.
I'm not impressed.
I'm good.
I'm unbothered.
Namaste.
So yeah, but yeah, it took about 6 months for anyone to just be like, you good?
Right.
Yes, I'm good.
Yeah.
Good
That's
luck.
real.
Enjoy.
Real.
Yeah.
I think overall, in terms of, being good with yourself, being good with your romantic life, being good in your friendships. Okay, because that's what we gotta pause and go back to that. Because you mentioned something earlier about like being in a space where you were surrounded by people who were able to be there in times when you weren't good. Yes. But when you transitioned to space to being into being good, there was some challenges there.
Yeah, it was a very big challenge. I'm not from Charlotte, as you know, obviously, so I don't have a huge sister circle there. Network, yeah. So the few people that I was really hanging out with, they had seen my transition in Charlotte from this relationship or whatever, and so when I was in the really bad relationship and going through turmoil, I was like, you can stay with me, what do you need? I'll send you much, I'll do this. They were definitely very uplifting in those moments. And then I left. I upgraded my apartment. I upgraded my car. I had to get some material things to feel like myself again. And I upgraded my mindset. I think definitely changed. So I think they felt that shift. And it was funny because the other thing is my sister ended up moving with me. Shout out. Yeah, she's my favorite person right now. Aside from you, she's pretty amazing.
She is. I'll let her have that right.
She's pretty cool. So I remember my sister, I was telling her I was getting super excited, I wanted to introduce me to my sister, and let's all hang out and do brunch and girls' nights and game nights and whatever, what have you. And it seemed like as soon as my sister got here and they met her a couple times and they just saw how much maybe more free I was, or how much happier and good I really was, to have someone else close to me, and they just stopped inviting me. They just legit would just not check in. I would text, not get a response, or it would be really vague, and they just started really doing shady stuff, and I was like, it's really odd. So, and I know it's not my sister because everybody likes her. That's not even possible. that, because there's certain people that you have to like
be like
pre-introduce.
Yeah, let me just.
Because they're like my sister's not that person, so it was really frustrating to me, and it hurt my feelings. I think that was one of those times where I had to be like, oh, like my feelings are hurt. Why are these girls acting like this? I'm in a space, because I remember there was also a time where like I was broke.
Yeah.
Right? And like I would hang out with these girls and I would be like, I'm broke, I ain't got it.
Right.
And they'd be like, you're good. Like, they were those friends, like, you're good, come on, like, it's no problem, whatever. And so now I'm in this shift where it's like, I'm not broke anymore. I'm happy, I'm good. I'm not asking you to do anything outside of just hang out and show up. Because that was one thing.
Because also you want to kind of extend some of that back.
Yes, because I was grateful for those moments that they gave to me, because I think there were definitely times where mentally I wouldn't have made it through. And so I got to a point where it's like, dang, I want to like pay you back, like thank you, like however I can say thank you, like thank you. And
just want to show up.
Yeah, they just want to show up, like literally would not show up.
I remember one of those times. I was like, oh,
okay, cool. And I remember I talked to you about it, and we were just very honest in that moment where it was like, I don't think that's one to fight for you. And I appreciated that, because I went back and forth about it, and then I decided to release it, and I also decided that it would figure itself out. Whichever way it needed to go, it would figure itself out. I'm not going to make it a whole huge whole thing. I'm not going to do this whole blow up. I'm just going to step back.
Right. Because sometimes, like, that's the two-step, right? It's like, sometimes we step in and we see something, we got to step out to look at it, and you be like, oh, no. And just to release with grace and love and appreciate it for what it was. Like, it doesn't mean you can't be appreciative for those times when they had your back.
I wish you
made you more, you know what I mean?
I am appreciative of those times, absolutely. It just, for me, it sucked more because of the type of person I am, that I couldn't extend back. Yeah.
And that's when you extend forward, right? Like, that's when you shift it to some, like, okay.
Absolutely.
Like, I can't do this. Yeah, do this or pay it forward, because we all need that space when we're not good. And it would be great for us to be good with, living in great spaces with those when they are, when we're all in good spaces. But we don't always get that opportunity.
We don't. And
and we have to be okay with that.
To be okay with that. I'm good. I'm okay with it. It is what it is. I'm perfectly fine.
So, all in all, what would you say to somebody who isn't good or is trying to figure out how to be good and they just don't know where to start? I know we talked a lot about self, but like I don't want us to be vague. I want us to be very, as specific as we can be about what are those things that we were not in a good space. How do we transition? Does it start with a thought? Does it start with an exercise? Like what does it start with? What's the transition?
I think for me it definitely started with a thought. So at the beginning of my transition and learning how to do it, I listened to a lot of books. So the first thing I listened to was Shonda Rhimes' The Year of Yes.
Ooh, that's a good book.
I recommend anyone who is not good to start there, because that allowed
Shonda Rhimes' The Year of Yes.
Yes, it allowed me to create my year of yes. It showed me how to do things to create my year of yes. I remember the one thing that stood out for me from her in the book was asking for help. And that was something I think I had never done. I had never felt comfortable doing. I would allow people to extend if they could see, but I would never flat out be like,
I need help with this.
I need help.
Right.
Help me. So I think that was definitely the first place. I did not seek like a therapist or therapy, but I would say if that's where, you may need help, I definitely not frowned upon, definitely do that. I didn't have insurance at the time, so that wasn't an option.
But there are resources. Most of your employers should have an employee assistance program, at least if you're full-time, that offers 3 sessions for you. So look for your EAP, or Employee Assistance Program. There are a lot of other resources that offer, specific costs. I was reading something on another article that if there are community resources that will offer sessions anywhere from like $35 to $160 per session. And sometimes you don't need to go for 5 sessions. Sometimes you just need that 1-2 sessions.
So I think that definitely was that's a great starting point, is just first being able to admit that you're not good. Stop trying to fake it. It's okay. You can ask for help.
Lay it out.
And you can also tell yourself yes to more things that you want to do. So then another thing I did was I created the vision board. And I remember the things that were on this vision board were like where I wanted to live.
Yeah.
A suburb of
Yep.
Charlotte.
I remember you looked at
And
it.
within like 2 months, that's where I ended up living. I had a certain vehicle that I have a very similar vehicle to now. I had the funniest thing that was on this particular vision board was models. A lot of, because I've just always been into fashion, but they were also all kind of favoring me. They were all kind of look like me. So on the board, it was a lot of models that I liked. There were clippings from a client that I work for now. There was just a lot of things that ended up, I think, because I was able to put that out in the universe, like exactly like a true vision of what I wanted to see. So I'm waiting for some of the things on there, man.
Right. You know, sometimes it's a process. It gives us something to look forward to.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what else I did. I did not force anything that was not for me.
Yeah, I watched you.
So I let the back out that I hated. I found another one that I actually enjoyed. And then I found modeling. I let the relationship go. That was an interesting process in itself of like how God did that.
Right.
Because he just moved it literally
out of the way. Sometimes
way.
I think that's a big thing. Like when the universe is sending us a message, when God is sending us messages to do something, and we are defiant. It's gonna be snatched. It's gonna be snatched, and it'll be snatched, and then 2 weeks later you're gonna be thinking like, wow, like, thank you. Next time I'll listen. Next time, okay, I hear you.
Yeah.
Let me add. That's real.
Yeah.
That's real. I think in the process, I think I'm so aligned with so much of that. And really just not, I think for me, one of the biggest things is being in a space is I don't have the capacity. That's something that I really like. I use that literal, I do not have the capacity for this right now.
Definitely.
Emotionally, mentally, spiritually, whatever it is, like I don't have the capacity. It's a great phrase to use because if it's something you want to go into personal, it leaves a segue for somebody to ask more.
Right.
Or it just says like I don't have the capacity. I can't. Nobody can argue with what my capacity is.
No.
Right now.
No. Because how selfish and hurtful it can be. And you know, it's funny. That's a great phrase to use because to tell yourself and really believe that, know that, and you can't right now because you're gonna need that as you get better.
Right.
So as you
it helps you create boundaries.
It creates more boundaries because guess what happens? The better you become, and the more people see like you're good, the more they think that they can take an ass of you. And you know what? I still don't have the capacity sometimes. I still don't have the time, the energy, the strength. I remember I had to literally like reiterate that to someone very recently that was asking me to do a favor of her, and I was just like, no, I can't do that right now.
And being okay with like that person might not like that. That person may not understand, but I also know the people that want to see my heart and who want to see me truly understand. They understand that I'm not doing anything of malice. Exactly.
You would have understood that this wasn't the time to even ask that. Like,
yeah, that's real.
All over the place. You got like planes just. Sometimes I really don't.
I think people I think we're all guilty at times of, being caught in our own world, and that's something I try to be very considerate of, being like, okay, this is me in my world, but where are other people in their worlds, and how do our worlds need to connect, and what may cause some friction, what may be I think about a lot of things a lot. And I try to learn to navigate that in a space where it's honoring myself and honoring others with the same respect. But it's hard sometimes, and I think really just finding those ways and really, some of these things we talked about today may help you. Some of them, you may have to find different things. And I think the important part is just go find those things.
Figure it out.
Yeah. You can listen to podcasts, you can read books, you can talk to friends, but at the end of the day, your responsibility is to find out what works for you. And sometimes it's going to be very uncomfortable, and sometimes you'll have somebody to walk with you in the process, and sometimes you won't.
And I think that's why books are such a good. like such a big Audible person now
Yeah.
because I don't like to read.
I'm a reader.
I'm not.
I'm learning
I
to
can't
Audible,
read
but
a physical book.
yeah.
I end up in my head like every single sentence. I'm just like, ooh, but yeah, that's how that go, and I can't ever actually read the book because I'm just so much in my head. I can't get out of my head when I'm doing the reading, and so I'm just like such a fan of Audible. Another big one too is Michelle Obama's book.
Oh yeah, Becoming. That was big.
That was so good because that was literally the manifestation of her.
Yeah.
And starting at her childhood.
Very powerfully.
It was very, very powerful. And it helped me too, listening to her relationship with Barack.
Yeah, that once you get to that part, I really enjoyed the book before it got to that part, but once it got to that part, like it spoke to another part of me.
Yeah, it spoke to another part of me. So just find, a book or podcast, like you said. There's a lot of really good ones.
Yeah, there's so much to choose from, and if you don't know, ask Instagram, use the social media, ask around. I think the important part is that if you know you're not in a good space, to first admit it.
Yeah.
First admit it to yourself, then admit it to somebody else that you trust, and then begin to find the things that are going to help you be in a better space.
Yes.
And set you being in a better space as a priority.
Yeah, it's self-care. Take the walk. Join, some sort of workout, routine, class.
And be okay with doing it yourself, right? Like that's the whole point of it.
Right.
Yeah, my name is Sola, but Sola means alone. Yeah. Like there's a lot of things that I'm not lonely, I'm not lacking in that way, but there's a lot of things I have to forge alone, by myself, moving forward.
I found out people don't go to movies by themselves.
Yeah, that's weird.
You don't go to movies by yourself?
No, I'm saying it's weird that people don't.
Yeah, people don't go to movies by themselves. That was like a big healing thing for me. It was like, I just want to go.
Escaping somebody else's theory.
Yeah. By myself. And not have to be bothered by anyone else eating my snacks. If you want stuff, I really
Bring
don't
a
want to
blanket,
change.
exactly.
Like,
Get cozy.
Yeah, doing things definitely. I think that's a good starting point of doing things by yourself. Because in the movie theater, like, no one's judging you, don't feel awkward.
Exactly.
And then you can work your way up to, like, sitting at a bar by yourself. Now, I'll go sit at any
Anywhere.
table, any restaurant, anywhere. I do not care. You
It's
guys
real.
are, like, traveling by yourself, like,
Exactly.
yeah.
It's
And
a
I'm
beautiful thing.
I'm good.
Because I think once you really work on being at peace with being solo in whatever your city is, like it means so much to you in the process of getting there that by the time then you're ready to.
It allows you to contribute to all of your relationships better.
Exactly. Okay. Well, what's one thing as we bring our conversation to the end? This will be a question that I'll be asking all of my guests. But what's something that you pray or wish for me in my process of solo in the city?
My biggest prayer for you recently has been to just do it. I think there has been a little bit of conflict of you not just going for it, of whatever it is, because I don't know what that is for you.
Yeah.
But like I know that you know,
Yeah.
and so like just do it. I think that's been my biggest thing, and being open to it, and also I think just not stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do it and
keep
don't stop.
going.
Yeah, keep going.
Do it, don't stop.
Don't
Do it
stop.
and keep going.
Yeah.
I like that, and I think that definitely is received. And we'll see from here. Well, thank you, Pete, for joining
Thank
me.
you for having me.
I'm
I
excited.
really appreciate it.
I'm excited. It's gonna be a good time.
Great.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sola in the city. Sola in the city.